सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओं. In chapter 3 we have come up to 20th sloka. We'll just do the recap of 20th sloka and then go forward. कर्मण्यैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. जनकादया कर्मणा एव संसिद्धिम् आस्थिताः अपि लोकसङ्ग्रहम् एव सम्पश्यन् कर्तुम् अर्हसि. By doing kevala karma, without knowing the knowledge, without entering to the jnana yoga, one cannot attain moksham. One cannot get liberation. And in the previous portion, Paramatma also mentioned that one has to reduce karma and then increase jnana yoga. This is a kind of chance for Arjuna. He wanted to avoid karma and then take up the sannyasa ashrama. So in order to emphasize even gruhastu can get moksham, Paramatma is giving the examples of gruhastu jnanis. So he says that Janaka, Ashwapati, Ajatasatru, they are all gruhastus. They led family life and at the same time they enjoyed liberation. Especially Janaka was a king with a lot of responsibilities. So when you enter especially the sannyasa asrama from gruhastha asrama, you cannot come back. So he is ascertaining even gruhastus can get moksham. That is, take the example of Janaka, Aswapati, Ajatasatru and all that. In the previous lokas, like we have Naiva tasya kurutē nardha na akurutena kaschana. So jnani need not, by doing or not doing an action, there will be hardly any difference for a jnani. So this was the statement given by Paramatma. So Arjuna wants to jump at it and he wants to avoid action. So he says even jnanis are doing action. So he says that jnanis also cannot avoid action. They do action. So from this sloka onwards, he is giving the duties of jnanis towards the world, how he has to contribute to the world. So he focuses on this particular aspect and he is entering into a new topic. What way a jnani has to perform the action. Lokasangrahamevapi, for the benefit of the society. Sampasyan kartumarhasi. He is befitting to do the karma for the benefit and for the welfare of the society. So if he is doing it for the protection of dharma, then one may get the doubt how to know what is dharma and what is adharma. For this, we have the scriptures, especially the Dharma Shastra. There is Brahma Sutras, Dharma Sutras are also there, written by Jaimani Maharshi, the student of Vedavyasa. So in that, it starts with Athato Dharma Didnyasa. So in that, the Dharma Shastra is elaborately discussed. That is one thing. But however, that is not available for a layman. So for layman, he can resort to Ramayana, Smriti Granthas like Bharata. So in that there will be stories which are mixed with values, how a person has to behave, how a gruhastu has to behave. So we can see how a gruhastu can lead his life doing some work. So a gruhastu ashrama, that is also called ashrama. Now ashrama means you can make your own residence as ashrama if you lead your life without any binding to the karma phala. You need not have karma phala abhimana and take up action without karma phala abhimana. Then the residence becomes ashrama. Whereas if you are attached too much with the people and your house and the worldly thing, then it becomes a samsara. Even for a sannyasi, if he is too much attached with his students and ashrama and all that, then he becomes a samsari. So it all depends on his mindset. And then this dharma, while applying dharma also, we have to refine it and apply it as per the today's context. Then only it will be applicable. Like for example, in Shastram, it is said that your bathroom should be some 50 feet away from the main house, which used to be the olden days design. But nowadays we have switched over to flat culture. It is not possible. So the person who interprets dharma must be very kind, and he should be intelligent enough to refine it to the current days. That is what in Taittiriya Upanishad mantra prescribes. The person who interprets must be very compassionate. He should not be very rigid about the verbatim or the words that are mentioned, because some type of living is totally obsolete now. Etatra brahmana sammarshinaha yukta ayukta alūksha dharmakāmastyuh yatha te tatra vartēran tatha tatra vartētha yesha ādesaha yesha upadesaha. So this way we have the Smriti Granthas. Smriti means the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, then the Bhagavad Gita. All these Granthas, all these books, scriptures will give us lot of value. In Gita also we have 16th chapter which gives the values. So following those values, a jnani can lead his gruhastu life and take up karma. Then there is what is called śrēṣṭhastattattadēvētarō. Shruti, Smriti and śrēṣṭhastattattadēvētarō. In that śrēṣṭhastattattadēvētarō means there are those people who stood for the dharma. They are the role models. People take them as role models. Now the real role models are not there, so people are turning towards the cricketers and cinema actors, and they are even electing them as the rulers of the country. So a person, the real model who follows dharma and leads a dharmic life, then he can give an example to the public. Though he is a jnani, he takes up karma for the benefit of the others, so that the others can follow him. Swamiji gives an example. He used to distribute cassettes, it seems, in the beginning. So, when he was giving cassettes, one student lost the cassette given by Swamiji. So, he is supposed to return it. So, when he is supposed to return it, he was to confess that he lost the cassette. So, he was totally scared. The Swamiji will scold him at least for 45 minutes for his negligence. Then when he told with a fear, Swamiji, I lost the cassette you have given to me. Then he said, it is okay. Swamiji said, it is okay. That gives the student a great lesson how to control anger. So, whenever he meets Swamiji, he repeats this incidents. So, though all these years Swamiji was telling about anger, controlling anger, regulating anger and all these things, but just one example is enough for him to understand the value of anger. So this is how a person can refine himself. Yada matruman pitruman acharyavan braveti tada shaivaliraha. In Brihadaranyaka there is an excellent mantra. A person who follows mother, who follows father, who follows guru, is the right and dharmic person. His life will be without any problem. So he is the role model. So others can imitate him, others can emulate him. So this is the idea. So now you can add the king of the country also in that list. This applies in the olden days. Now the rulers are not now having that dharmic mind. Unfortunately, what happens is people take up whatever the bad in the these great people. They don't remember the good deeds of the great people. Like Vishwamitra and Durvasa. Whenever the people refer to Durvasa, immediately they remember his anger. How he is very angry and what kind of curses he gave. All those things people remember. But what good he did, people do not acknowledge. Similarly, Vishwamitra, he has given Gayatri to the entire world. Such a great person. But people remember only Vishwamitra ran away with Manaka. So like that, wherever there is a bad, people are ready to absorb that, then good. So these role models, the jnanis, when they are leading their life, they should be very cautious because people are imitating him, people are emulating him. So from this we have in this context Paramatma is giving a sloka which is very, very useful and very often quoted. Yadyadācarati śrēṣṭhastattadēvētarō janaḥ yatpramāṇaṁ kurutē lōkastadanuvartatē yat śrēṣṭhah ācarati tat eva itaraha janaḥ ācarati yatpramāṇaṁ kurutē lōkā tat anuvartatē. Wherever this great dharmic person is there, whatever he does, the people also emulate. Yat śrēṣṭhah ācarati. Yat śrēṣṭhah ācarati means the noble persons, whatever they do, tat, the same thing, itaraha janaḥ ācarati. The others emulate him. So, he should be very cautious about his day-to-day life. He cannot take it casual and do whatever he wants. So, that is very very important. We have this, let go philosophy. I do what my, according to the emotions people behave. Raga dvesha. They give dominance to raga dvesha. They lead a life with a kind of yadecha. So such a kind of life is not for a jnani. Jnani has a control over his emotions. So, yatpramāṇaṁ kurutē lōkastadanuvartatē. Yatpramāṇaṁ kurutē lōkā tat anuvartatē. Whatever he sets as a pramāṇa, the entire lōkā will follow him. Like we have the Rama as the example for his ruling, for his dharmic way of approaching things. So, this is what we can take. So, whatever we take up, whatever we do, we must always, be cautious so that people are, taking us as the people are taking jnana, but jnani as the pramāṇam. So, they must be very careful. If a person, does puja and all that, the children also follow and they also perform puja. In some houses, there is no puja gruham. They don't believe puja gruham. So, people, for such people, the children are also like that. They also don't care for God. So, we should set some values for children. If a person smokes, especially before children, the children also imitate. They take a pencil or some pen and imitate as though they are smoking. A parent teaches about the value of speaking truth. But when somebody comes, he tells him, don't tell him I'm in the house. Or tell him I'm not in the house. When he is giving such example, then a child will think that this is a casual value, need not be followed. So, a person, even though he is a jnani, he should set an example to the world, because the entire world takes him as pramāṇam. So, one duty of the jnani is to take up karma and follow dharmic life in order to set as an example. So, we'll see the 22nd sloka. न मे pārthāsti kartavyaṁ triṣu lōkēṣu kiñcana nānavāptamavāptavyaṁ vartēya ca karmaṇi. Pārtha me triṣu lōkēṣu kiñcana kartavyaṁ na asti anavāptam avāptam ca na asti karmaṇi vartēya. In all the three lokas, in Shastra, this word is very common, triṣu lōkēṣu. In all the three lokas means what? The bhuloka, all the lokas above bhuloka, that means all urdhva lokas which are, very luxurious and dharmic. As you go higher, the satyaloka is the most wanted loka. And the lokas below earth, pata, atala, vitala, sutala, rasatala, talatala, patala, they are all, narakadi lokas. So, in Shastra we say triṣu lōkēṣu. In all three lokas, I don't have any kind of work to be done. Sometimes the triṣu lōkēṣu is also explained as bhuhu bhuvaha suvaha. that is the earth and interstellar space and the lokas above. So whatever be the meaning you take, if you take the entire Vishwam, the entire cosmos, I don't have any work particularly which has to be done by me, because I am the sthitikaraka, my very presence is required. Now what he says, I don't need anything to be accomplished, nor I don't have to accomplish anything. For myself, for my purpose, for my satisfaction, for my accomplishment, I need not do any work. Why people are into work? Because they want to accomplish, they want to get happiness by doing a work. They are having the goal as anandam. So they think that if you build a house, you're happy. If you earn money, you're happy. That means you are more secure. So like that, people are after the outside thing. But for Paramatma, there is no necessity to run around and do some things, take up some action in order to fetch happiness. Because he himself is the Ananda Swarupa. Even though he is the Ananda Swarupa, he is still taking up the action. Karmaṇi vartēya. Though I need not do any work, we should understand very carefully, if the Shastra says you need not do any work, that means there is no need for you to do work in order to get happiness. You can do work with happiness. Out of happiness, out of compassion, you can take up work. Earlier, for want of compassion, for want of happiness, for want of security, you were taking up the work. Now, out of happiness, out of compassion, out of security, you are doing this work. In order to set yourself as an example, in order to tell the world that Jnani need not sit idle. He can take up the work for the benefit of the entire world. Karmaṇi vartē. Now, what work Paramatma is doing? Paramatma is taking up the srishti karyam, sthiti karyam and laya karyam. He is continuously doing srishti, sthiti, layam. So, his presence, his action is very much necessary for this work. People, especially when they are young, and especially the kids, they love the role of Hanuman. They take him as a Superman because he, travels in the sky. His courageous things and all that, the way he, fights with asuras, he chews them like, chocolates. So they all like Hanuman as a role model. So such role models are very much required. If you see that Hanuman, when he entered into Lanka, he wanted to search for Sita Devi. So when he wanted to search for Sita Devi, so what he did, he entered into the harem of Ravana, and he happened to see all the Antapura ladies, all the ladies of Ravanasura. They were all sleeping in helter-skelter with all, with the dress falling here and there. So, for a moment, Hanuman felt bad. I should not have entered into the harem of the Antapuram of Ravana, because it is not good for a dharmic person to enter into the harem. But then he thinks, if I have to search for a woman, where should I search? I should search among women only. You cannot search in a pot shop. So suppose you want to search for a cow, you have to search in all cows only. And he consoled himself that he did not do any kind of mistake. Then whatever the way he searches, Sita is not seen, though he searched so many places. Then he understood that the intervention of God's grace is a must. God's grace and free will both must be hand in hand in order to achieve something. Without the grace of God, you cannot move an inch. Immediately he acknowledges the grace of God and he says, Namostu Ramaya Salakshanaya Davyecha Tasyai Janakatmajaye Namostu Rudrendru Yamanilebhyaha Namostu Chandrarka Marudganebhyaha. So this is how he praised Lord for his grace. So this is how these stories give us some ideas how a dharmic person should behave. And there is another example of Lakshmana. Sugriva approaches Lakshmana and shows the jewelry of Sita Devi and requests him to identify. Then Lakshmana says, Naham janami keyure, naham janami kañcane, nupuretvapi janami nityam padabhivandanat. So he says, I don't know the necklace or the ear studs, the other ornaments of Sita Devi, Sita Mata. I only can recognize the anklets because I do that Pada Namaskara every day to the Mother Sita. This is what Lakshmana proclaims. So this is how one should behave with respect to other lady. A man should behave with respect to the other lady. Except his wife and sister, all other ladies must be thought of as mother. So this is how they set the roles. So we have to follow these role models and then go accordingly. Nānavāptamavāptavyaṁ. He is a Bhagavan. Krishna Paramatma is Bhagavan. Bhaga means he is having Bhaga. Van means the one who has. Bhaga. Bhagavan. Bhagavan means one who has Bhaga. What is Bhaga? Aishwaryasya samagrasya vīryasya yashasa śrīyaha jnana vairāgyayosceva shannam bhaga itirana. Aishwaryam. Aishwaryam means Ishvara, the overlordship. That he is a king, therefore he has everything. Then Viryam. Viryam means dhairyam, the courage. Yashaha. Yashaha means fame. Shrihi. Shrihi means prosperity. Jnanam vairagyam. He has got the knowledge, the Atma Vidya, and vairagyasya. Vairagyasya means vairagyam samagrasya, with a full level. Jnanam means what? Jnanam, he has got the laukika knowledge, the laukika jnanam, as well as the paramarthika jnanam. And then he also is having that renounced attitude that though he is in the samsara, he is untouched by the good and bad of the samsara. So he is like a drop on the lotus leaf. Is behaving like a drop on the lotus leaf. So this karma phala abhimana is not there. Raga dvesha is not having. So he is not bounded by raga dvesha. He is not attached to things, people and places. So that is how he says, I need not accomplish anything in this world. Vartēya cha karmaṇi. Even though this is my position, I keep on doing the work. This is what Paramatma is saying. 23rd sloka. Yadi hyahaṁ na vartēyam jātu karmaṇyatandritaḥ mama vartmānuvartantē manuṣyāḥ pārthā sarvaśaḥ. Yadi aham atandritaḥ karmaṇi jātu na vartēyam. He pārtha manuṣyāḥ sarvaśaḥ mama varta anuvartante. In case I do not take up work, then lot of damage will take place. There will be lot of trouble in this world. Because he is the śrēṣṭhakarta, sthitikarta and layakaraka. Suppose he doesn't take up his job, what happens? There will be lot of problem in this world. Therefore, manuṣyāḥ, all these people, they follow my path only. They simply ape my actions, my behavior. So as a Paramatma, I must be very careful and take up the right thing. So he has given, as Paramatma has given compassion, he has shown that Prama Tattva he has shown as Krishna Paramatma. And at the same time he observed Dharma. He is not blindly compassionate, like he is not blindly attached. Like Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra knows the dharma, but when it comes to Duryodhana, his dharma totally evaporates. So, Krishna Paramatma had to kill the Kamsa even though he is his uncle. So, when he has to establish dharma, he should not think of relations. He should not think of any other thing except taking dharma as a rule. Yadi aham na vartēyam. Suppose I don't take up dharma. Jātu karmaṇyatandritaḥ. If I don't take it up with śrēṣṭha, don't take up the karma with śrēṣṭha, mama vartmānuvartantē manuṣyāḥ. All the people, they simply follow me. So, it will be very dangerous for this entire world. They tell one story about this. One Brahmana went to Rameswaram. He took one, a copper vessel for Sandhyavandanam purpose, for Achamanam, for drinking purpose and all that, whatever may be the purpose. He took a tamra patra, a copper vessel with him. So, when he went to the sea, he wanted to take bath. He wanted to protect his tamra patram. And then he dug a hole on the shore of the beach, and then he placed the vessel in the hole and made a Shivalinga on the tamra patram, so that he can identify where he kept his tamra patram, and went coolly to take bath in the sea, the Rameswaram sea. One person observed that he is making a Shivalinga with sand. The Rameswaram lingam is called Saikata lingam. Saikatalingam means it is made up of sand. So he thought this Brahmin is doing, maybe this is the practice here in Rameswaram. So he also took some heap of sand and made a Shivalinga. Immediately some other person saw him and he also did that lingam. They thought that is the practice of Rameswaram. Brahmin finished his bath and he wanted to take the tamra patram, and he saw umpteen number of Shivalingas, that sand Shivalingas. So he found it very difficult to recognize the Shivalinga made by him. So he was wonder with the people's attitude, how the ape people, gatanugatiko lokaha na lōkā paramarthikaha chete saikatalingena nashtam me tamrabhajanam. Gatanugatiko lokaha means these people, they do not know what to follow and what not to follow. They simply ape without any reasoning. So, as a result, I lost my copper vessel. This is what he wanted to say. A sadhu is to do the yajnas, is to perform yajnam and yagam and all that. In his house, there was a cat which was moving freely. During the ritual time, the sadhu used to tie the cat to a pillar near that yagashala. So he performed without any disturbance. So after some time he died, and then the practice continued. His followers, they used to continue the ritual. While they were performing the ritual, they used to bring a cat and used to tie it to the nearby pole. They used to think that this is a part of the yagam. They do not know what was the situation. So this is how things takes place. Sometimes when you simply ape a person, you may also ape the wrong things which are not required. So we'll proceed to Sloka number 24. Utsīdēyurimē lōkā na kuryāṁ karma cēdaham sankarasya ca kartāsyaṁ upahanyāmimā prajāh. Aham karma na kuryāṁ cēt imē lōkāha utsīdēyuhu sankarasya ca kartāsyaṁ imā prajāh ca upahanyāmā. If I stop doing karmas, all these lokas will perish. All the lokas and their activity will be, all their activities will go to dog. So it will create a havoc in this entire world. So lot of damage will take place, and I will be responsible for that damage. So Paramatma is emphasizing about this swadharma. Whatever be your dharma, you have to take up that dharma and then keep on doing the dharma for the sake of setting an example, even though you are a jnani. Now these dharmas, the swadharma, can be taken up by virtue of birth, jāti dharma or guna dharma. Jāti dharma means by virtue of your birth, suppose you are a Brahmin and you have learnt that the way of doing pujas and kratus and all that, then you have to continue that. And by guna means you need not be a Brahmin. By virtue of your habit, by virtue of your nature, you are more of a Brahmin guna. You don't have that the commercial attitude. You have that sattvika guna. That means guna brahmana. If you are a guna brahmana, then to support your nature, you can take up your karma. A karma can be taken up either by birth, either by guna. By birth, if you take up karma, there is an advantage. Like, the father is a doctor. He is an established doctor and he, established a nursing home. And then his son also became a doctor. For him, it is a cakewalk to take up the practice. Because already patients are there, theater is there, and his father is there to guide him. So it is easy for him to take up the medical profession. Similarly, for a Vaidika Brahmana who is performing this kratus, son day in and day out listens to those mantras. It is easy for him to utter those mantras and he can learn the Vaidika Shastram from his father directly. So he can take up that profession very easily. Besides this, if your attitude, if your nature is towards a particular karma, suppose you are a more commercial oriented, you take up a business and then help the society. Take up a business, earn money and do some dharmic activity. Take up dharmic activity. So that way, as per your dharma, you have to take up activity. As per your dharma means, again, what Shastra says, the nature can be modified. How you can modify the nature? From a tamasic nature, you can switch over to rajasic nature. From rajasic nature, you can switch over to sattvic nature. So this way you can transform from tamasic to rajasic. So when you get this sattvic nature, you can take up, you can do parayanam, you can learn the scriptures, you can teach scriptures. Like that, you can take up all sattvic karmas, or take up all pancha mahayajnas. So this is how one has to take up the karma as per his birth or as per his nature. So this is what Paramatma is prescribing. Aham ime lōkā utsīdēyuhu. All these lōkās and the people who reside in those lōkās, they will be in trouble. When they will be in trouble? Karma aham na kuryāṁ chet, if I don't take up action. Because this entire world, the sustenance depends on me. If I don't sustain the world will merge in me. Therefore, I must do the work. So, in the same way, a jnani has to take up work. Sankarasya cha kartasyam. In the varnashrama dharmas, there will be a conflict, there will be a confusion. People do not know how to protect the ashrama dharmas. And there will be a lot of confusion. Now you see that living in a relationship, people are resorting to all kinds of illegal things, adharmic way of living. So these things will take place when there is no proper role models in this society. Unfortunately, the role models are not there. The role models means the people do not take the dharmic people as the role models. They only take the cinema actors and the others, the politicians, as the role models, and then lead their life. So in protecting the ecology, in protecting the ecological, in maintaining the ecological balance, a man has to follow dharma. If he cuts a tree in front of his house, immediately he will not get any problem, but everyone does it and makes the green belt into a concrete jungle. Then there will be a lot of ecological imbalance. Because of that, the rains and the seasons, they do not take place in time. So you should follow dharma. You should follow dharma and then see that the others, the posterity, the future generation also follows dharma. They see you, they observe you and follow dharma. Ima praja aham upahanyam. If I don't follow dharma, Paramatma is saying, if I don't follow dharma, I will be responsible for all these troubles and tribulations, for all these calamities, for all this havoc. I will be responsible. So, being a jnani, you should not be inactive. On the contrary, you should be more active. Like, Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya is, jnani. He did not keep quiet. He has written, so many granthas and handed over to the posterity. Because of his activity only, we are able to, get this benefit. Suppose he says, I am a jnani and I need not do any work, we would be in utter chaos. So even though you are a jnani, it is a wrong concept. People think that a jnani need not do any work. He can sit simply, in reveling in Brahma. While doing this lōka sangraham, also he can revel in the Brahma. Because the Brahma is where is the Brahma? Brahma is in the lōkā. Brahma is not somewhere outside. Is very much there in this world. So he can do good to the world. So for him, the Brahma is not an idol. Brahma is not a particular shape. Brahma is this world. So he takes up, a jnani takes up work for the lōka sangraham, for the benefit of the entire world. 25th. Sakta karmaṇya vidvanso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryād vidvanstada chikirshur lōkasangraham. He Bharata, he Arjuna, yatha avidvansaha karmaṇi saktaha kurvanti tada lōkasangraham chikirshuhu. Vidvan asaktaha san kuryāṁ. Now he is giving a comparison between an ignorant person and a jnani. So one may get a doubt. If jnani is doing work and ajnani is also doing work, what is the difference between jnani and ajnani? If both are engaged in doing work, what difference is there between a jnani and ajnani? An ajnani, an ignorant person, takes up work with lot of enthusiasm and lot of interest in getting the profits, in getting lot of riches, like that. He does it with lot of enthusiasm and lot of interest in earning money and all that. In the same way, with the same śrēṣṭha, a jnani also takes up work. Jnani will not take up work with a diluted mind, with a half-hearted mind and all that. He also takes up work with full vigor and enthusiasm. But his action will be non-binding. Whereas an ajnani does it with a bonding to the karma phala. Behind his work, there is always a target. He must get money. He must get a house. He must get a profit. Like that, there is an attachment. If he does not achieve that, then he is totally upset. An ajnani is totally upset. Whereas a jnani, he also takes up work. He does it with full vigor and with enthusiasm, śrēṣṭha and all that, he does it. But then unattached to the karma phalas. He doesn't have raga dvesha. So, it is out of compassion he is doing the work, not out of attachment. Attachment is called ragam. Compassion is called anuragam. This compassion is nirhetukam. It doesn't require any relationship. If I am doing some good work, not that I should get some benefit. So without any motive to get profit out of this work, a jnani takes up work for the benefit of the entire world. So if the world is benefited, he is happy. If the world is not benefited also, he is not unhappy. Because he is not bonded with karma phala. He does work with a noble intention, with an altruistic attitude. So, with that attitude, a jnani takes up work, and then he does work out of compassion, not for compassion. A samsari takes up work for compassion, for anandam. A samsari takes up work for joy and for anandam. Whereas a jnani takes up work out of anandam and out of joy. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha. He is happy with himself. He doesn't require anything outside for his accomplishment. He recognizes that peace, happiness and security is his own swarupa. So for the sake of peace, happiness and security, he is not taking up the action. Whereas an ajnani takes up an action for the sake of peace, happiness and security. Out of peace, happiness and security, a jnani takes up work. Whereas for peace, happiness and security, an ajnani takes up work. That is the difference between a jnani and ajnani, though both of them are doing work. Even after getting the knowledge, even after he is in the jnana nishtha, a jnani is performing action because out of peace, out of happiness and out of security, he is taking up action for the benefit of the people, for the people to emulate him. So we'll stop here and we'll proceed in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnascha Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. హరి ఓం. శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. హరి ఓం.